Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing nearly a full face of Merit Beauty. This video is not sponsored. However, they have over the course of about the last year and a half been so kind to send me a number of their products. Now, their overarching theme is minimalist makeup. They say that they want you to get compliments on your complexion, not your makeup. And if you've watched any of my makeup tutorials, you'll know that's not generally how I operate. So I'm going to be sharing with you a different take on this brand and using these products in a different way than you've probably seen other people use it. So this is just how I've made these products work for me, and I'm going to, as a bonus, create a matte fall look for you today. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get started. All right, so already on my face, I do have my sunscreen, my skincare, and I also applied an eyeshadow primer. This is a must for me no matter what kind of eyeshadow or brand I'm using. I just use the MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour eye base today. And now we're gonna go to the complexion because we have cream eyeshadows to use today. These are brand new from them. I feel free to go ahead and do the complexion, then we can go to the eyes. The first Merit product we're going to use is a product called the Minimalist. So this is a complexion stick. The idea is it's your foundation and concealer in one, but you're not supposed to put this all over your face. You're just supposed to dot it in places where you need a little coverage. For me, I need some overall evening out of my skin tone, first of all. So that concept doesn't really work for me. Also, I usually have a little bit of sunless tanner on my neck and the rest of my body, so my face tone is never the same as my neck. So if I were to just go in with this, which is pretty close to my sunless tanning tone, and just put a little bit here and there, I would have like these kind of orangey yellow spots all over my face. That's not going to be helpful. All right, so as I was using that, you probably noticed this looks pretty small. Well, thankfully, they have actually doubled the amount of product in here. The original stick, which I have two colors in the original stick, it was 0.13 ounces, which is not a lot of product. And thankfully, they doubled it for the same price. So I'm grateful that they did that. So I'm gonna show you a technique though that it's still going to give me coverage all over my face, but it's going to help prevent a few layers. So what I mean by that is I'm going to do kind of that painting technique. So I'm using the shade Umber, and I'm going to use this as my contour, but because it's a foundation stick, it also is giving me coverage in those areas. So I'm not going to have to put a whole foundation all over my face, then go on top of it with bronzer, contour. You know, I'm trying to embrace a little bit of some minimalism here. So I'm going to place this just in areas that I need some contouring and a little bronzing, although I do have another trick I'll show you. They do have a bronzer stick now, which I have really wanted to try, that I know a lot of people love, but I've just not yet purchased it. So I've been doing this instead. So we have that kind of placed. And next I'm going to go in with the shade Khaki. And this is closer to this tone here, although my sunless tanner has faded quite a bit. So I'm going to place this kind of in the areas kind of on the rest of my face. Now it looks like I'm applying a lot of product, but this just glides on the skin. So I'm really not applying a heavy, thick layer. I'm just placing it in more places than the founder would probably be happy with me doing. So if you've watched the founder's video on how she applies this, I mean, literally she just does a couple dots here and there, but she has like nearly flawless skin. So that's just something to note. If you're watching one of these brands apply makeup and you don't have perfect skin, it's okay. I'm gonna show you how you can, you know, make it work for you. So, all right, but see, I didn't have to actually roll that up at all. So even though I went over a large portion of my face with that, I really didn't have to use a ton. And then I'm gonna put this shade, which is the lightest one that I have, in the areas kind of where I would have a little highlight. And I do feel they do have a good range, but you might struggle like I did a little bit with undertones and kind of getting that spot on. So just a little FYI. And you'll notice I am not putting this under my eyes as concealer. And that is because this does not work for me under the eyes. Works everywhere else. All right, so this looks a little crazy. I'm gonna go in now with the Merit buffing brush, this foundation brush. It is a really nice, soft, dense brush. And I'm gonna go over most of the areas first that just have kind of my normal foundation shade before I go over the areas with that contour. And then I'll just buff this in, and you can see, I mean, it is a dense brush, but these do really blend in nicely into the skin. This is a slightly more emollient formula. So even though I have combination skin, it's not oily, but it is not drying. So it's not going to give you a matte finish by any means. I will go in with some powder. Now that umber shade is quite dark. So I'm going to go back with just a little bit of the lighter shade. So this is Sand. And by the way, I will put all of the products I'm using today and the shades down in the description box below. I'm just going to add a little bit of that there. Okay, so this still looks a little crazy because I did not put it under the eyes. So the next thing that I'm going to do that breaks the rules is I'm actually using a concealer. I'm using the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer in the shade P4. This is a very thin formula. So in a way, it kind of goes along with the rules. It doesn't look heavy on the skin, but it does provide good coverage and it doesn't get dry and crackly through the day. Isn't that just so much better? Oh my goodness. Just can't even tell you. I'm gonna go around the edge here of the cheeks. All right, so you can see I have quite a lot of glow, but by adding that Natasha Denona concealer, it's just kind of helped make everything look much more even. All right, we're gonna go next to one of my favorite products, and that is their cream blush. You've probably seen this cute little thing, and it seems like it's not a whole lot of product, but this actually contains 0.31 ounces, so it actually has more product than this big old stick does. So I'm going to use the shade Raspberry Beret. Isn't that so pretty? And I'm using the rougher brush number 4. You could use your foundation brush if you were done with it for the day, but I like to keep that one kind of on the side just in case I get a little carried away with my cream blush. So you can see I took the brush to the product and then to my face. A lot of people do swipe this on, but I don't ever like to do that with cream blush because you can get too much product and then you're blending out, and also it can remove a little bit of coverage if you're not careful. So I just always apply cream blush this way, and it allows me to just slowly build up the color. But isn't that just a beautiful color? Oh my goodness. Love it. Now I am going to tweak this at the end. I'll show you how with a different color, but I wanted to show you that color all by itself. But next, let's add a little bit of lip oil. So this is their lip oil in the shade Taupe. And this just provides kind of that sheer wash of color. It is a thinner, more oily formula. So it's not something that I would use in place of gloss personally, but it is something nice to kind of give some hydration to the lips, but I have not found it to be particularly long wearing. But applied like this, it's just a nice way to get some hydration to the lips. All right, let's go next to the eyes and then we'll go back for highlighter. So the newest launch from Merit are these cream to powder eyeshadows. I have 2 colors, Viper and Mid-Century. Here they are swatched on the back of my hand. You can see Mid-Century is a very nice toasty brown, and then the Viper shade is a nice khaki. Like, this is my kind of khaki green that I love to wear. in the fall. So I'm going to start off first with Mid-Century. Now you can apply these with your finger. And as I mentioned, I did already apply some eyeshadow primer. If you don't have oily eyelids, you probably can get away without it, but eyeshadow primer is just a necessity for me no matter what brand I am wearing of eyeshadow. So I'm going to just put a little bit of this all over. You can see good pigmentation. However, they are very blendable. They also came out with this dual-ended brush, and this one tip is kind of soft and flexible, so you can bring that through the crease if you wish. And you can also kind of stamp it in the outer corner, build up that color. And then on the other end is a really nice kind of pointed liner type of brush, which works really well with the green shade. But let's just start off first with that Mid-Century. These blend easily. They blend more easily if you don't have an eyeshadow base down first, but I find they still work over an eyeshadow primer, I should say. All right, so that is blended in, and even though eyeshadow isn't usually something you think of with minimalist makeup, I think the way that they did these shadows is still in line with that overall concept, because you can apply them with your fingers or with a brush. They blend easily. You can do that one color all over the lid. And as far as I know, all of the shades are matte, so you can apply them through the crease and you're not going to have it accentuate texture or anything. So we've got that color on, but now let's have a little fun with the shade Viper. Okay, now I'm going to take the other side of that brush. I just wiped it off because I had used it previously. And I'm going to now, we're going to start on the lower lash line here. And I'm going to do a reverse wing. You see how soft and creamy this is, but it does set down. So you've got time to work with it, but then it does dry down completely. I just think this color really brings out the color of my eyes, right? And then I'm going to use a little bit of this along the upper lash line here too. And then I'll go back in a moment and kind of fill in that other spot, but let's do the other eye. All right, and then I wiped off that brush real well, and I'm gonna go back in with the brown and just fill in that gap and then blend the edge there. One really important thing is when you put on the lid, you want to actually turn it and then turn until it clicks. So you kind of got to give a little bit of pressure there, but that's what will keep it from drying out. All right, now the eye look is almost done. We do need some mascara, but before we get to mascara, let's finish up the complexion. All right, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of highlighter. So this is their highlighting balm, and this is the shade Kava. Now this is a really, really beautiful kind of wet looking highlight. However, I don't recommend applying this directly to your skin, kind of like the blush. I feel like this one's even more balmy. I think balm is the key word in that title. This will kind of lift your coverage product underneath if you're not careful. So I just like to blend it in. Even though it has shine and glow, there's no glitter particles or anything. So it is really pretty. I'm going to use just a touch of that on the inner corner for a little brightness, but I'm not going to put that on the lid. Again, it's a little too emollient for me with my oily lids. Okay, the next product I'm going to share with you is actually one of my favorites also, and it's their lipstick. The packaging on everything is nice, but the packaging on the lipstick, the first time I got one of these, I just pulled it out of the box and I thought, oh my word, it's beautiful. And this was one of the first shades, and actually still my favorite. This is called Baby. And I'll try all of these on for you actually on the lips too, but this is Baby. And let me wipe off that lip oil. So the lip oil, there's still some hydration there, but it hasn't been that long and it's almost gone. So the hydration's there, but the product itself, you know, doesn't stick around a real long time. All right, let me show you Baby, no lip liner. This is kind of like My Lips But Better, like a nude pink shade. Doesn't go with what I'm wearing today, so that's why this is not the color I've chosen. The next shade they sent me is 1990, which I think is fun because, you know, this was the shade we were wearing in the 90s, right? Look at that, just a solid kind of brown. It does have a little bit of warmth to it, but I feel like it still has a coolness as well. These are creamy, emollient, love them. So there is 1990. And then a few months ago, they released a limited edition color called Aperitif, I think. I don't know, I believe it's French or something, but look at that, vibrant, definitely an orangey red shade. So that's fun, not how we're gonna leave this makeup look though. So let me wipe that off. And before I apply the lip color, I'm actually gonna go and use a little bit of MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot around the edge of my lips, just to give me a little bit of kind of evening out of the lip lines and a little extra stay power. And then in keeping with that 90s theme, I am going to use a little bit of Urban Decay 1993 lip liner. I think this is still available. This color is very close to that 1990 lipstick. All right, then I'm going to add a little bit of 1990 and a hint of this aperitif color. Now you can see with that raspberry blush, still a little off from everything. So this is a trick you can do with any lipstick, but what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of that aperitif color, and I'm going to take my blush brush and blend it into my hand first. And this is a pretty emollient lipstick, so I don't have to worry about it dragging on the skin. But do you see how that just changed the tone of that blush slightly? You could just go in with the lipstick. You wouldn't even have to start with that other blush shade. Isn't that pretty? All right, and then just to be a little extra, because again, I don't have the bronzer that Merit makes, I'm going to use the 1990 lipstick as kind of like my bronzer. I'm going to use my BK Beauty 107 brush and blend a little bit of this just on the top of the cheek. Do you see how that just kind of makes everything just kind of work together? And this is also a way to use up a lipstick. Like if you think, oh, this is a shade I only use every so often, think of it as a possible cheek color. All right, now some of you love this glow going on, but if you're a combination oily skin girl like me, you're like, help, we need some powder. Yes, I need some powder. I'm just gonna use the Makeup Forever Micro Finishing HD powder. This is super lightweight, but it will take down the shine, thankfully for me. I'm gonna leave the tops of the cheeks with all that extra glow. Then I'll take the rougher 18 brush and a little bit of that powder and set the under eye area. For brows, this is a product I have repurchased, I think at least 2 times. This is the Merit Brow Pomade in the shade Blonde. I really love this. But again, the way that they recommend using it is just this. And that works if you have a pretty good dose of brow hairs. Now, I have more than I used to because I use a brow serum, but just putting a brow gel through my brows is just not enough for me. And that's okay, right? So I am though going to try to do kind of some minimal strokes with the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen in the shade Taupe. And now I'll add a little bit of the brow gel through this brow. And I love this blonde shade. It's the perfect kind of cool taupey color. It doesn't, sometimes blonde brow gels have like green or really yellow undertones. This one does not. All right, and then I'm just taking a little bit of the lightest foundation shade just to add a little lightness under the arch of the brow. Since I don't have a matte brow bone highlight shade to use today, I thought I would bring that in, and I think that works just fine. And then I'll add a little powder to the brows. Got a little heavy-handed with the brow pen there. All right, last but not least are lashes. And I have actually not tried the Merit mascara, so I'm just going to use one of my current favorites, and I feel like this combination gives me nice, fluffy, full, long lashes. It's the Dior Lash Serum Primer and then the Ciate London Triple Shot XXL Mascara. All right, here is our finished look, and I absolutely love it. I love all of the fall colors that we've got going on here. I loved how by using those lipsticks on the cheeks, it just coordinated well with the lipstick color. I really, really enjoyed these eyeshadows. So my top favorite products from Merit would definitely be the lipsticks. The cream eyeshadows, I think these are really easy to work with, and they do set and dry down and wear well all day. Of course, the eyebrow pomade is another favorite that I have repurchased, and I do really like the cream blush. The packaging on the cream blush isn't my favorite of all of the Merit products. This is the one that doesn't seem as chic and as expensive as everything else, but it is, the product itself is actually really good. So those are the products that I definitely would recommend. Now, if you're somebody like me who needs more full coverage foundation, this is definitely not the most economical way to do that. However, if you're somebody who has nearly perfect skin and you just have a few spots here and there that you need concealing, then this is a great option. But overall, I hope that this video was helpful if you've been curious about Merit products. Hopefully, seeing them in action today and my descriptions of how they work and who they're best suited for, hopefully it will help you know which products might be right for you. As always, check the description box down below for links and a list of everything I used today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.